It was just after midnight when the fire broke out in an abandoned warehouse near the edge of Harbor City. Police and firefighters arrived quickly, but by the time the flames were out, there were 5 bodies, all badly burned. No drugs were found, no money, and no answers. Only one man survived, unconscious, injured, and unable to speak clearly. His name was Tomás Vega, a low-level smuggler from Argentina. Before passing out, he whispered one name over and over again. The Whisper. Detective Lena Moore stood at the edge of the burned building, watching the ashes float in the air. She had seen her share of bad crimes before, but something about this one felt different. She had a feeling this wasn't just a gang hit or a drug deal gone wrong. Something bigger was behind it. The next morning, Morse questioned the only person they had in custody, a quiet man with nervous eyes and a broken arm named Elijah Gray. He had been picked up nearby trying to board a bus. He claimed he had nothing to do with the fire, but Morse wasn't convinced. Gray sat across from her in the small gray room. He wore cheap glasses and stuttered when he spoke. He looked harmless. "I'm not who you think I am," he said softly. "But if I tell you what really happened, you won't believe me." "Try me," Morse replied. Elijah took a deep breath and began his story. It all started 3 weeks ago, in a police station across town. 6 men were picked up in a raid connected to stolen weapons. The police didn't have enough evidence, so they threw them in a holding cell together. That's where they met. There was Jackson Cole, a former military man turned arms dealer. Raymond Ortiz, a smooth-talking car thief from Miami. Benjamin Cho, a cyber hacker who could break into any system. Lucky Den Mercer, a gambler and con man with a dozen fake names. Elijah Gray, the quiet man who mostly listened. And Felix Boone, a mysterious man with no past, no ID, and no record. He wore a long coat and a blank expression. While in the cell, they got a talking. Each had been arrested before, each had enemies, but none knew why they were brought in this time. Someone had tipped off the police, someone who wanted them all in one place. That night, Boone suggested they work together. "We're being used," he said. "Someone wants something from us. But if we stick together, maybe we can take control." The others laughed at first, but something about Boone made them listen. Within 2 days, they were out on bail, all released by the same mysterious lawyer, Mr. Lawrence. After their release, they were invited to a private meeting at an old boxing gym in East Harbor. There, Mr. Lawrence explained everything. He represented a client, a very powerful man known only as the Whisper. Lawrence told them that each of them had interfered with the Whisper's operations at some point. Some had stolen from him, others had ruined deals without knowing it. The Whisper had been watching them for years. Now they had 2 choices: work for him or disappear. The job was simple on paper: stop a shipment of illegal biometric drives from reaching the black market. The drives were hidden inside a warehouse down at Pier 17. There would be guards, maybe a few local gang members. They were told to destroy the shipment and leave no witnesses. In return, the Whisper would wipe their criminal records clean and pay each of them a fortune. The group argued for hours. Some didn't want to be part of anything so dangerous. But Boone, who had become the unofficial leader, said they didn't have a choice. "If we walk away," he said, "we won't live long enough to regret it." For the next 10 days they planned. Cho hacked into the security system. Ortiz found a way to get into the warehouse through the sewer line. Mercer arranged fake IDs and passports in case things went bad. Jackson prepared weapons and escape routes. Elijah mostly observed and took notes, keeping quiet unless asked. But tensions grew. Mercer didn't trust Boone. He thought Boone had a hidden agenda. Ortiz joked that Boone might be the Whisper himself. Boone never reacted. He never smiled, never got angry. He just stared. A few days before the job, Mercer was found dead in his apartment. The police said it was suicide. The group wasn't so sure. The night of the job, they moved in. Everything was supposed to go smoothly. The warehouse looked abandoned from the outside, but inside were 10 armed guards, more than expected. Someone had tipped them off. A shootout began. Cho was shot in the leg, but managed to set off an EMP device that disabled the lights and cameras. Ortiz and Jackson took out most of the guards. Elijah stayed outside, acting as lookout. Through his earpiece, he heard screams, gunshots, then silence. When he finally entered, he saw the warehouse in flames. The shipment was destroyed. Ortiz and Jackson were both dead. Boone was nowhere to be found. Elijah panicked and ran. He was picked up near the bus station 2 hours later. As Elijah finished his story, Detective Morse leaned back in her chair. She had listened carefully, writing notes, watching his face. Something didn't add up. You expect me to believe a man called the Whisper forced 6 criminals to work together, and now 5 of them are dead? It's the truth, Elijah said. Check the records. Look at the fire reports. The lawyer, Mr. Lawrence, he never existed. Fake name. And Boone wasn't just working for the Whisper. I think he was the Whisper, Morse raised an eyebrow. Why? Because everything went exactly how he wanted it to. He brought us together. He chose who lived and who died. And now he's gone. Morse stared at him for a moment, then stood. You'll be held for 72 hours while we verify your story. Elijah nodded and was led out of the room. Later that evening, Morse sat at her desk, reviewing the case files. Something began to bother her. She looked at Elijah's written statement and compared it to items on her desk, a flyer for a boxing gym, a cup with the words, Lucky Dan's Casino, a calendar showing East Harbor, and a file about stolen biometric drives. She began to connect the dots. Each name and location in Elijah's story matched something visible in her office. Had he made it all up? She ran to the computer and pulled up footage from the bus station where Elijah was arrested. She zoomed in on his image, slowed it down. His arm was not broken. His limp was fake. The next morning, a fax arrived with a sketch made by Tomas Viga, the injured smuggler who had briefly woken up in the hospital. It showed the face of the man who led the attack on the warehouse. It was Elijah Gray. Morse raced downstairs, but it was too late. Elijah had already been released. She ran outside just in time to see a black town car disappear down the street. Inside the car, Elijah removed his glasses and took off the sling on his arm. He sat straight, calm, and confident. Across from him sat the man called Mr. Lawrence, or at least the person who had pretended to be the lawyer. You did well, Lawrence said. Elijah smiled. They always believe the quiet one. As they drove into the city, Elijah looked out the window and spoke softly. They gave me names, faces, files. I became the story they wanted to hear. That's how you stay invisible. That's how you survive. Are we going back to the network? Lawrence asked. Elijah shook his head. No. We're burning the network. From now on, we work alone. Let the world guess who the Whisper really is. And with that, the car disappeared into the city. Detective Lena Moore stood on the rooftop of the police station, holding the sketch of Elijah's face. She felt sick. She had been tricked. Every word, every detail, every emotion had been carefully designed to fool her. She remembered something he had said, "You won't believe me." He was right. But she would never forget him. And somewhere the Whisper lived on, a ghost in the criminal world, a name you didn't say out loud. Because the real danger wasn't the man with the gun. It was the one who convinced you he was harmless.